Hi, my name is Laureen Moyal, and I run Paperwhite Studio with my partner, Davey. We are a design studio. We specialize in branding across a number of applications and industries. But today I'm going to talk about one industry in particular, which is restaurants. I've always had a love for food and the ritual and the process, but that love didn't really develop until I got to college and started to learn how to actually cook myself, and at the same time, I was learning design, and I became increasingly curious about how the two could interact, and as a result, I led a number of food and design experiments throughout my time there. This happened to be one that involved baking an obscene amount of cupcakes in a very short amount of time and documenting the horror of it all into a series of books. And it's very embarrassing today. I love working with food people because they are crazy and passionate and creative, and I consider myself an honorary member of the food industry as a whole, and I think that this photograph is proof of my crazy. Some of our clients to date that you may have seen or heard of, and that I'm going to be talking about today, are Jack's wife Frida, located in Soho, and more recently by Chloe, located for now in the West Village. I don't really tell my clients this, but it's very true. They would hate to hear it. When I came back to New York, I noticed, and I think everyone was noticing, that our general awareness of food was really changing, and we were becoming increasingly discerning and aware of what we were eating, and we were learning fun new words like organic and farm to table and using them very poorly. And at the same time, things in entertainment, cooking shows became kind of a mass form of entertainment, and cookbooks and cooking magazines sort of flooded the shelves. So I think generally we were becoming more and more interested in food on a number of scales. And now that we were all self-proclaimed foodies and experts, we were looking for more and more experiences to fit that and to put under our belt. And one of that was dining out. And dining out became a form of entertainment that we seeked out constantly. And as a result, I think restaurants started to notice that they needed to differentiate themselves beyond the food, which is why I say it's not only about the food, and it's about the dining experience as a whole, because you could get very similar things in a lot of places and on a lot of different scales, but what we were looking for was a little bit more than that. And there are two design firms that I think are kind of on the forefront of this that I'm going to show you. One of them is Avrico. They're a primarily interior design firm, but with restaurants like Public, what they did is that they created a whole experience that really framed the meal and was a whole concept that wasn't just about what was on the plate. It was about the decor, it was about the architecture. Public specifically was designed to mimic a 40s civic institution, and that is felt through all of the details, all the way down to the clipboard that holds the menu. And the place that really did it for me as a designer was Mucha, when they designed Schiller's. And similarly, Schiller's was designed to kind of transport you to this old-timey French used bistro. And what was really interesting from a graphic design standpoint was that the typeface was designed to mimic handwriting, and in a very, very high-level nerdiness, multiple letters multiple versions of each letter were designed so that when it was mechanically typed, it would create kind of an organic handwriting, which was just so cool for a little new, fresh designer. And that really was the beginning, was when I started feeling like there was a kind of a really interesting thing happening in design and restaurants, and it was sort of a little beginning of hope that there was something that could be done there. So I like to liken this, our newfound favorite activity, to a bit of a sport. And I like to use Wile E. Coyote as its mascot because he really embodies sort of insane determination. And I think now we are constantly talking about where we're eating, where the next places we're going to eat, what article we read about a restaurant, and it's become sort of this competition of who's doing what. And this embodies the insane part, which is something that you wouldn't have seen 10 or 15 years ago, this kind of waiting aspect, like how long are we willing to wait for food? So the second trend that's happening sort of at the same time is both social media and just general smartphone technology. And obviously now we're all food experts and we are competitively seeking out experiences. And so it would make sense that our phone that we're now using to document every single minute of our lives would also document our newfound love of food, case in point. And I think that on a social media scale, the numbers do the talking. The amount of food photography on Instagram alone is completely mind-blowing. What we're interested in as designers is what happened when these two trends kind of collided. On one hand, we were getting more and better, well-designed restaurants and getting more involved in that kind of experience and being included in that conversation. And on the other hand, the patrons are photographing everything. So what does that mean for us? These are all photographs taken at Jack's Wife Frida by people who are dining there. And full disclosure, when we designed Jack's Wife Frida, we did not care about Instagram. We were not even, it was about 2 years old and we knew that it was a thing, but we kind of thought, whatever happens on Instagram will happen on Instagram. But it was hard to kind of ignore the trend that was picking up. And going back to my sport analogy, I see this as kind of the trophy for the person that's coming to this restaurant. You've thought about the place you're going to, you've researched it, you've read 1,000 reviews, you've talked to your friends about it, you tried to get a reservation, couldn't get a reservation, you stayed online for 2 hours because that's how you spend your time. And so really, this moment is like the top of the mountain. It's the victory moment where you get to prove kind of everything that you've put in to getting here. And I see it all the time. People sit down, they haven't even taken their coats off. This is the first thing that they do. And we can have opinions about it and talk about how it's bad or good or annoying or whatever, but in the end of the day, it's happening. And I think for restaurants, they started to take notice because what it means for them is that their brand is existing even beyond the experience that they're giving the people that are coming to their space, and it's being shared indefinitely online. And so by creating kind of a frame, a branded frame for the food, we're allowing them to have that identity forever, as far as I can tell. So we really noticed that it was a thing when people started asking for the Jack's Wife magic. And obviously I didn't want to admit that I had no idea how we did that or why that happened. So we did a lot of work on ourselves to kind of understand what was going on, and is what I was just saying. And we started to design restaurants with that Instagram or photo moment in mind. And our most recent and successful realization of that has been by Chloe. I don't think that I could convince or force a number of people to take the same photo on purpose if I wanted to. And it just like continuously fascinates me that it just seems to be the thing that is happening. And it's great because it allows people both to share their food experience, but at the same time, they're sharing a brand experience, which is being expressed in a much more public way than it had in early restaurant and restaurant design examples. And now, how it's really changed for us is that now, when we're in design reviews and we're talking to clients about typography and color and logos, a lot of the comments, or inevitably one comment that will come up or response is, this would make a really great photo, or people will photograph this, which just shows how this trend, whether we like it or not, is a huge part of how we are thinking about what we're designing and how we're framing the different food brands that we're working for. And so that's all I got for now, and I say for now because I don't actually know what the next thing is going to be and how social media is going to, or other trends are going to continue to influence how we design for food, but we're very lucky to have the platform that we have today.